Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
The Justice League Axis of Villains is a board game that was kind of put out in mass production. My copy is a Target-only exclusive. And this is a board game based on the Justice League of Flash, Green Lantern, Batman, and Superman. And what you'll notice, first off, is there's no female representation despite Wonder Woman being a huge DC property. And you're not going to see that in the game. Matter of fact, there's very few female representation, if any, in this game. And that's a huge turnoff for us. There's always a female that wants to play, even though I know superheroes are usually boy stuff. I think anyone can play those, and Marvel has proven that everybody loves superheroes. It's a really big shame that a female representation wasn't in this game. Putting that aside, what is this game? If you ever played a game called Castle Panic, this is Castle Panic, but not as good. Now, Castle Panic has had Dead Panic and Star Trek Panic that has kind of, let's just say, expanded the universe of how the game works. Axis of Villains, this Justice League game, takes it and makes it worse. And one of the reasons why that is so much worse is that you're constantly throwing these dice. And when you move the bad guys, you roll the dice, and you continue to move them until you roll a Justice League. Theoretically, it is possible that you could roll the dice over and over and over again and lose before you ever have a turn. Sure, it's possible. I get that it's not probable, but it's definitely possible. It's not a really well-balanced game. The game is going to be easier if you happen to roll Justice League more. It's going to be harder if you don't. And that's really going to be the difficulty level in the game. Now, it does have the superheroes. That's a huge plus. And while it does have female representation, I do like the superheroes that are provided here. And they do feel a little bit different, if you will, with everybody having their own unique powers. The cards that you're going to be using for most of the game are going to lack artwork, but I think that that's all okay because it's a very clear and clean card, and that's okay. It does have a lot of villains in the game, and if you do like seeing different kinds of villains, that's fantastic, but they don't really do anything different other than have a number of defense that makes some easier and some harder to kill. And when I say easier or harder, I mean you have to roll a higher number on a die in order to beat them. That's it. Nobody moves differently or has any kind of really unique power. It's just a picture with a number on it. Now, you do have some ultra villains that will be in the game, and if they get to the center, then you automatically lose versus normally having to take 4 hits to lose. And so that just really is neat. I like what they're going for there, but it takes some of the strategy away. You just need to hit those people as quickly as possible. Now, if some of them were weaker but moved faster, kind of like what they would in other games like Castle Panic, I think that the decisions you're making will be more interesting. This is pretty straightforward. You're either going to immediately go after whoever's closest with the caveat that those ultra villains are the most important hit. And that's a huge negative that there isn't a lot of strategy to it. And when you fight these people, you're just rolling the dice. And if you have some cards, you can add some dice and use your powers. But for the most part, you're just rolling the dice and seeing if you won. I don't know that that's quite a bit of fun of what we're looking for in a game like this. Now, if they just would have poured a Castle Panic over and put Justice League on it, I think the game would have been better for it, even though I'd probably complain that I want something a little bit different, like they did with Star Trek Panic. And I don't believe this is the same company, so I don't mean to say the company that did Castle Panic did a bad job with this game, but it's blatant that a lot of things were borrowed from Castle Panic to put into this game. And it's the worst for it. If you're a family, I would probably say just play Castle Panic and leave this one behind. This one just left me really bored, and it wasn't as much fun as I had hoped that would be. This is the automatic Purge, and one I would tell you to steer clear unless you're a huge, huge Justice League fan. Here is the Justice League Axis of Villains strategy game, and that word strategy is going to be, they're really stretching the meaning of that. So you can see this is going to have a lot of the famous villains and famous Justice League people on it. You're going to get a little rule book. You're going to get a board that pops out. It's got like that plasticky feel that you see sometimes in children's games. That's what it's going to have. You're going to have these player boards that are really cool with the different characters on it. You're going to get Flash. You're going to get Superman, Batman, and the Green Lantern. You're going to have these satellite puzzle pieces that are double-sided in case you blow it up. You're going to get a couple dice, custom here. They're okay. They feel kind of plasticky, but they're alright. You're going to get a bunch of these little villains that will come out, and they will say villain on one side, and there'll be these little chits with different power numbers on that side, and they're fairly nice. Going to get some cards, and the players would be these standees that are actually really nice. So you can see they're like an L-shaped, and your character cards go down into them, and they're indentioned here, you can see, so it fits in there. Really nice. And I wish some of the companies that had standees would start using stuff like this because it fits in there and it's very sturdy. So here's the rule book. You're going to have a picture of everything kind of set up with an explanation. Everything will be numbered, very easy to use. When you open it up, this will be pretty much the overview of the game, what you do on a turn, and a little bit of how the dice work, your powers and your power cards, what will happen on a couple spots, a little bit of clarification. And then you have combat if you're a solo or if you have somebody there, and your examples. So that's all you're going to have to do. And winning and losing the game will be down here because this is really how to play. And these are the little rules that you need to know in order to move the system along. Actually, a very good rule book, especially for what was a mass market game that's only at Target. Very good. So when the game is set up, you're going to have the little satellite here in the middle, and as it takes damage, you will flip this over. If all sides of the satellite ever get flipped over, then you will lose the game. Another way to lose the game is if one of these ultra villains, which will be gray instead of a color, if they ever make it here, then you'll automatically lose the game also. So when the game starts up, you're going to pick who you want to be, the Green Lantern or the Flash, and you take their player card, and you will see here that you will have certain powers. So his combat works and his powers will work, and I'll kind of refer back to this in just a moment. And then what you'll do is based on the colors, so we're just using yellow and green, we will seed the board with these villains that will go all the way around it based on the colors that we're utilizing. You're going to have two sets of cards that you'll have. You'll have these, which will be the villain hotspot cards, and then you'll have the Justice League cards. Everybody's going to start the game out with two of these. On the turn, it's going to be very easy. You're going to roll both of these dice. Whatever you get will make a turn. So if you get this, and the villain, whatever number you roll, will move one spot. So in this case, the 6 would move up. If you rolled this one that has the 2 on it, then that guy would have moved 2 spots. If you moved on the Justice League, then the bad guys stop moving and you can start to take your turn. And then finally we have this one, which will move and put out one of the ultra villains. And if these guys ever get to the center, regardless of how much satellite is, you immediately lose. So these guys are more powerful and you want to beat them. A couple things are going on the board here. If you get to one of these spots that you see here, they will move to the side and you will draw one of these cards and it'll tell you what to do. So in this case, you roll the black die and place Black Adam on the board. It will take people off the board, put them on. And basically this deck is going to be a deck that you're not going to want to see. So what are you trying to do? So if you get somebody in these spots and you have one of your characters there, then you can fight them and do combat at the end of your turn. So let's say, just to keep things easy, I rolled a Justice League 6. That means I can now take my turn. I can move across the board however I want to. I get the Captain Boomerang, and then I can do my combat. Because he's in the yellow place, I can roll the black die twice. There's only one included in the game. If he was in any other section, then I can only roll one die. I also have these cards that I can play, and they're going to do different stuff. So here, if I was in the red zone, I could roll 2 additional die if I wanted to play this. Or if I'm in the yellow, I could use this power, which you'll see corresponds here. If I was green, I could do this power. So I'm in yellow. So the Flash rolls a black and then moves another hero up to number of spaces. So if I wanted to give up this card, I can move somebody else around the board. If I wanted to use this card, I could utilize this power. The Flash may roll for combat before deciding to attack. So if you fail an attack, you have to go back to the satellite. So I can actually roll, if I want to give up that card, I could roll the dice, which I get 2. So let's see what I rolled. I rolled a 6, and I would add that in. 1 is a 7. So I would need at least a 9 to beat this guy. So if I would have given up that card, I could have rolled first and known that, hey, I was going to lose to this guy and say, never mind. I'm so fast that I'm not going to fight him after all and go back. Because if I lost, I would go back. Now, if I win, he comes off the board, and that's how I'm going to win the game if I beat everybody else on the board. The game is really random in how it moves. So you could roll this 15 times in a row and all these guys are moving before you take a turn, which is extremely boring. A lot of what you do in this game is just roll this dice. You roll this dice to move the bad guys. You roll this dice to move you. You roll the dice for your powers. There's very few decisions. And decisions you make are like, should I spin that card? Or should I save it until I'm in the red zone for the extra dice? That's really the decision you're making in the game. So that's how you play. If you ever played Panic series, and this is a lot like that, and just not as good. who should buy this game. This is strictly for people who love Justice League so much they want to play bad board games about the Justice League. That's really the niche here. Kids will like it. I think it'll be okay because they won't mind so much of the rolling dice and so much luck that's involved. My son likes to play it, but likes to make his own rules. So he likes it that this says Superman and Batman and stuff, but he goes and makes his own game and tries his best. And your mileage may vary on that. It's not a very good game. Maybe you want it for a family time, but I think there's better games. Unless you're just dead set on getting that Justice League IP, you will get that here and not much else as for a game. I would tell you to completely avoid this one. It's an absolute purge for me.
Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you liked it, please like it and hit that little subscribe button. That really helps out the channel, lets us know that you're getting the videos that you want. If you agreed or disagree with what I said, feel free to comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I promise that I will comment back. Thanks for watching, and everybody else, keep playing.